Hello everyone and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. I hope your day is calm, because what we're about to unpack is anything but. Today's report has jolted the entertainment scene and left even the most seasoned followers stunned. It's a revelation about Akın and Ebru, a pair so admired and closely watched that any tremor in their world feels like an earthquake in ours. The kind of revelation that makes you replay clips, reread posts, and ask yourself if you missed the signs. If you're not already part of our community, this is the moment. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from Secrets Behind the Stars. Now, let's get into it. If the title didn't already tip you off, yes, our focus is Akın and Ebru. For anyone new to their names, Akın is the magnetic Turkish leading man whose presence on screen has captured audiences far beyond Turkey's borders. He's the kind of star whose quiet intensity powers a scene without a single extra word. Ebru, no less commanding, has built a reputation for nuance and elegance, a performer who invests her roles with depth that lingers long after the episode ends. Together, they've embodied the modern fairy tale, two luminous careers intertwined, red carpets softened by glances only they understand, candid snaps that seem to whisper trust and complicity. For a long time, they've looked like the picture you'd save for inspiration. But reality doesn't always follow the script we write for our favorites. What started as faint murmurs, cryptic replies in fan Q&As, scattered comments under old clips, a handful of speculative posts, has swelled into a chorus impossible to ignore. In the world of show business, whispers are never just whispers for long. And according to sources who insist they are close to the situation, something has shifted between Akın and Ebru. Let's be clear, we are not talking about a fleeting disagreement or a tense afternoon that's forgotten by dinner. The word filtering through the grapevine is that the couple has hit a genuinely complicated patch, one that reaches beyond a single incident and presses into the structure of their relationship. The explanation, if you can call something this layered an explanation, starts where you might expect it to, with relentless schedules, public scrutiny, and the slow erosion of privacy. Fame promises the world and then invoices with interest. Imagine the clockwork of their lives. Long shooting days that stretch into nights. Travel that eats into weekends and blurs time zones. Weeks where phone calls are stand-ins for dates, and apologies are typed between takes. Add to that the magnifying lens of social media where every appearance is catalogued and every silence is interpreted. It's not that the love disappears. It's that the hours to tend to it do. Insiders describe a gradual drift, no dramatic night of ultimatums, no thunderclap revelations. Just two people carrying heavy schedules until the weight between them began to feel like an extra suitcase nobody had a free hand to lift. The language used by those close to them is telling, not a crisis of the heart, but a crisis of time. Not a question of whether they care, but whether there is enough room in their lives to care the way they once did. And when a couple like Akın and Ebru seems to step out of sync, it reverberates. With that distance come misunderstandings. A cancelled dinner can sound like a rejection. A late-night message unanswered becomes a story in someone's head. Friends whisper that the arguments, when they happen, are not volcanic but weary, two professionals defending their calendars, two artists wanting to choose projects without choosing away from each other. They've both been presented with opportunities that would stretch anyone thin. The kind you cannot refuse without wondering, years from now, if saying no would have changed everything. Of course, this is the business of performance, and with performance comes chemistry, the kind that viewers confuse with real life and tabloids frame with easy captions. Rumors have floated, as rumors always do, about third parties, on-set closeness, and the seductive sparkle of new collaborations. Nothing specific has been confirmed, and it bears repeating that conjecture is not evidence. Still, the possibility, however unfounded, casts a shadow that makes every smile look like a clue and every absence a confession. The media, alert to the scent of scandal, has been dissecting their public appearances and scrolling back through months of posts, parsing what's present and what's gone. What seems most concrete, and what genuinely shocked those who have followed their journey, is the suggestion that they have decided to take some time apart. Not as a goodbye, but as a pause. A deliberate, difficult intermission designed not to end the story but to see if it can be written differently. The decision, we're told, did not come lightly. Imagine the late-night talks, the careful sentences, the long silences that say as much as words. Imagine two people who know the cameras will be waiting, agreeing anyway to step back and think. In the meantime, Ebru appears to be pouring herself into work and personal projects, the kind that allow a person to recalibrate. She has always projected discipline, a steady hand on the wheel, eyes fixed on the craft. Akın, likewise, remains a forward force in the industry, juggling commitments that ensure he rarely leaves the public conversation. The logistics of loving under these circumstances is a puzzle few could assemble perfectly, even with the best intentions. All of this, we must stress, is built on leaks, whispers, and careful reading of public signs. There has been no joint statement, no coordinated press release, no sit-down interview where every answer tidily ends speculation. And yet the clues have been loud in their quiet, separate arrivals to events where once their presence was a given, captions that suddenly speak in singular, a noticeable lull in the affectionate posts that used to arrive with reassuring regularity. For fans who invested in their story, these aren't just details, they're tremors. The reaction online has been swift and raw. You can feel the divide forming with every thread. Some fans rally around them with compassion, insisting that love can navigate storms if the people inside it are willing to learn new ways of sailing. Others confess to disappointment, as though a personal promise has been broken by people they'll never actually meet. And then there are the theorists, knitting timelines like detectives, layering screenshots and quotes in a quest to prove or disprove what none of us can fully know from the outside. The question that hangs over everything is what this means for their futures, separately and together. Professionally, both have earned a level of admiration that does not vanish overnight. Talent is a currency that withstands personal weather. But anyone who has tried to create while their heart is unsteady knows that feelings leak into work. Sometimes they blur focus, sometimes they sharpen it into something electric and new. It's possible this period will give each of them space to grow in ways that ultimately make the relationship stronger, if that's the path they choose. It's also possible that this pause will teach them truths they can't unknow. For now, time is the only honest witness. What's certain is that the fairy tale sheen has cracked just enough to remind us we were always watching two human beings, not characters in a script. We attached so much meaning to their smiles that we forgot real life insists on complexity. If they are, as reported, taking this space to reflect, then perhaps the bravest thing we can do is let them reflect without turning every reflective surface into a mirror we demand they face. Let's recap where we are, so nothing gets lost in the noise. The first threads were whispers online, quickly woven into a larger narrative by the intensity of fan attention. The proposed causes sound painfully ordinary when you take away the spotlight: time stretched too thin, expectations pressing from every direction, schedules that don't leave room for softness. Overlay that with the illusions created by on-screen chemistry and the inevitable rumor mill, and you have a recipe for misunderstandings that can feel larger than life. Through it all, the most striking development is the reported decision to step back deliberately, not to end things but to assess them with the seriousness they deserve. No matter what comes next, Akın and Ebru's journey has illustrated a fragile truth about public love. Admiration can be a shelter, but it can also be a wind, and even the strongest homes shake in a gale. If this pause teaches them how to reinforce what matters, communication that is kinder, boundaries that are clearer, time that is protected rather than borrowed, then perhaps the interval will one day look like a gift disguised as a challenge. And if it doesn't, then we will have to accept that endings are not failures when they honor what was real. Until we hear from them directly, everything remains a careful balance of observation and restraint. Watch the projects they choose. Notice how they speak about rest, about priorities, about the version of success they're building now. Do they move closer in the language of interviews, the photographs that capture more than they stage? Do they begin appearing in the same frame again, not for the cameras, but because that's where they want to be? When they are ready to say more, they will. And we'll be here to listen, not to tell them what their story must be, but to hear the story they choose to tell. Thank you for staying with us through this delicate update. We know many of you have followed Akın Akinozu and Ebru Şahin for years, celebrating their milestones as if they were your own. Maybe that's the real measure of the connection they've built with audiences around the world. If you felt a sting reading this, it's because you care. Share your thoughts below. Were you surprised by these developments? Do you think this pause could become the turning point that steadies them, or is it the first step towards separate paths that still respect what they had? Your perspective matters here. If this breakdown helped you make sense of the noise, don't forget to like the video, share it with friends who are just as invested, and subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars so you receive every update as the story evolves. We'll continue to sift signal from rumor, keep compassion at the center, and bring you closer to the truth without losing sight of the people at the heart of it. Until next time, take care, and keep your notifications on.